Hello, my name is Sandra and I'm going to be speaking to you today about fibroids and dealing with anemia as part of the Understand to Heal series. Just a short disclaimer to say that I am not a doctor or a healthcare professional, but I am a nutritionist who has previously had fibroids and has had to deal with the symptoms of anemia. And I'd like to share with you how I have brought about healing. So during this presentation today, we will look at what is fibroids, possible causes of fibroids, types of dietary iron that you can get from food, inhibitors, things that inhibit and also enhance iron absorption, as well as the inspiration behind this presentation today. Look at a research study, diet as therapy, in particular supplements, and also input, how to monitor the input and summarize. So, what is anemia? Well, what it refers to is a disorder in the blood related to the red blood cells. As you can see in the picture, this side is really which is indicating anemia, where there is less blood cells. So iron deficiency anemia, IDE for short, affects the ability to carry oxygen and nutrients around the body because it's affecting the red blood cells due to the reduced amount of cell production. And so the hemoglobin, which is the oxygen O2 transporters, is reduced, and that's why it's so serious. Because iron is an essential mineral, and it gives the heme the color, the characteristics color of the blood, which is the red on the iron. Critical cases can be life-threatening because if it get really bad in some societies, in Western societies, you may have to, which has happened in my circumstance, have a blood transfusion. The WHO, which is a World Health Authority, estimates approximately worldwide 1 billion people are affected with iron deficiency anemia. Okay, so what are the possible causes? Well, iron deficiency that leads to anemia can be caused by a number of factors. One of them being a rapid growth spurt, such as women experience when they're going through pregnancy. Another thing could be going through childbirth and giving birth to a child. That may give rise, because you lose a lot of blood in that process, and that may give rise to excessive blood loss. And then another thing is infections such as parasites, like hookworms in the gut. That's another thing that could lead to iron deficiency anemia. Also, a prolonged menstrual cycle. If you're losing a lot of blood consistently over the course of the normal natural process, heavy menstrual bleeding, that can lead to iron deficiency anemia. Also, endurance and high intensity exercise, that can, which in my case can lead to it, because if you're, especially if you're exercising and you're going through a prolonged menstrual cycle and things like that, you're becoming depleted. And also restricted diets, and ones that may exclude, which has happened in my case, because I was on quite a restricted diet, and I was following an almost near vegan diet. I was getting no animal produce, and that can be something if you're losing, if you're not replenishing your iron stores sufficiently. That is another thing that can lead to iron deficiency anemia. So types of dietary iron. Well, there's the heme. Anything that returns to the heme refers to iron that is from animal sources, because it's iron that's within the blood, the hemoglobin. Yeah, and then this type of iron is more readily or easily absorbed into the body, between 2 to 3 times greater than dietary iron sources from plant sources. And in general, it sometimes, not always, contains higher amount of levels. Okay, so the non-heme types of iron we're looking at, which are the plant source ones. They can be absorbed into the body, but they can also be inhibited by certain things such as phytase, which is in the fiber of the plant. And absorption can be actually enhanced by combining the plant sources with animal source produce, and also including vitamin C foods to boost the absorption, and that is with all irons. So things that inhibit and enhance iron absorption, we touched on things like phytic acids, polyphenols and tannins. They are things like whole grain foods and things like teas, fiber on the skin, like in the skin grates, things that are really quite healthy for you, can also act as inhibiting the iron absorption. So some minerals also compete with the iron absorption, and that would be things like calcium. This is a big one, and also zinc can take the compete. And also, if your iron levels are low or you are depleted, opportune heavy metal, also other heavy metals can also be absorbed in the place of the iron, because iron's not being absorbed. So that's not a good thing, because things like lead is a heavy metal, which you don't really want in the body. So how can we enhance it? Things like it can be enhanced with vitamin C rich foods, such as orange juice or lemon, adding lemon to foods. Supplements also, lysine in some studies has been shown to kind of supplement with vitamin C, and also lysine has been shown to kind of help with, may help in some case with absorption. And if you're not vegetarian, you might look at trying to combine products with the plant-based product with animal produce to kind of increase the absorption. So what's the inspiration behind this today? Well, inspiration is really taken from biblical scripture, where there was a woman in the New Testament who had an issue of blood. This was in Luke 8, 42 to 48, verse 42. She suffered a bleeding condition it said that she suffered for 12 years. And she was healed from this condition by touching the hem of Jesus' garment. So that kind of touched me, that story, because it just felt so familiar to something, an issue that I had dealt with. So How do I apply it? So when I looked at the research study, I looked at one that was basically looking at fibroids in relation to heavy menstrual bleeding and anemia. In this particular study, it was a retrospective study, so they looked backwards over a period from January 2007 to October 2011. They looked back on, and it was quite a 1,665 women, and they found 269 suffered from fibroids on the submucosal level. And they had, and those particular women that suffered from that, they were more prone to have the symptoms of heavy menstrual bleeding. And they had, although they seemed to have lower hemoglobin levels and anemia incidence in both group. They had low hemoglobin levels, and there was anemia incidence in both groups that was examined through ultrasound, and also, which is externally examined, and also histoscopically, sorry I can't say that, which is also, it's internal examination, which is more of the invasive internal examination. But they found that there was significantly more. They said it was more significant anemia with the group and fibroids that had the more invasive diagnostic were diagnosed histoscopically. Oh. So when we're looking at diet therapy, enhancing foods that have iron-rich foods, incorporating foods rich in iron, and also combining them with enhancers would be a good idea. Things like adding orange juice. Also, if you could leave an hour's gap between, if you are taking any kind of supplementation for iron, I found it's a good idea, and I did read it somewhere, to kind of leave a gap between actually drinking something like tea, which can interfere with absorption. The supplementation recommended for women between the age of 19 and 15 is around about 14.8 milligrams per day, and if you're 50 plus, 8.7 milligrams a day. That's according to the UK. But bear in mind, if you are suffering from anemia, you're probably going to require higher levels in order to get you back from that deficient state. And so anemia sufferers may need clinical doses to correct deficiencies, as well as speak with the healthcare professionals. And also another thing to bear in mind is iron supplements can cause internal gastral disturbance, so you might have to find the iron supplement that works for you, that doesn't upset your stomach. I particularly use one particular type. I found that for me, I found ferrous fumarate doesn't upset my tummy, whereas when I used to use ferrous sulfate, I found that upset my stomach. So there's many other different iron, so you just really got to find out the one that works for you. So I've put together just a brief list of some iron-rich foods that you may or may want to include in your diet. Bear in mind, all liver, although it is high in iron, it is not recommended for pregnant women, because the high vitamin A content is not tetragenic. They say it can have an effect on the fetus, a negative effect, so it's not recommended iron. But I have put together this that I will have a link if you want to download it, just as you can get some a quick reference. So monitor your input. So monitor anytime you include in any food allergic reactions, especially if you're supplementing iron at high levels. Regular testing is essential. Has been for me, to be able to, because I am because I have to supplement to avoid anemia. Consult your GP, or you can also use a private test service. I use a home service where I fingerprint. Personally, I do that bi-monthly just to keep a lid on my iron levels, because I don't want to have to go into hospital and go through any kind of transfusions or anything like that. So I'm really on top of that. But you've got to find out what works for you. And I'll leave a link to it into the comments. All right, so in summary, blood loss such as heavy menstrual bleeding can result in iron deficiency anemia. Incorporating iron-rich foods into your diet is a fundamental step to combating deficiencies. Sources of dietary iron are obtained from both animal, heme, and plant, non-heme. Heme iron is 2 to 3 times better absorbed than the animal sources. Iron supplements may be necessary to address any imbalances such as anemia deficiencies, and regular monitoring of ferritin stores through iron tests will be necessary for those who are at risk. So this information in this presentation is intended for information only. Further research is recommended to assist you in making an informed health decision. It is not a substitute for medical advice. If you have a pre-existing medical condition, consult your doctor or healthcare provider before making any changes to your medical regime to manage your condition. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you, and please subscribe to Your Wellness.